that the class is in memory of Jared Orchen. And today we'll learn about the lucky 7. You know, in a wedding, in a chuppah, the groom puts on a ring on the bride's finger. On which finger he puts on the ring?
Yeah, I just learned this. I didn't know it. This finger, right? Index finger. The
index finger of the right hand. Now, if two people standing against each other, and the bride is against the groom, and I'm like the groom, and the bride is against me, and I count the fingers from the right to left, which finger will be the index finger of the right hand?
Seventh finger.
The 7th finger. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? In a chuppah, everything is 7. At the 7th finger, we do 7 circles, the bride around the groom. They say 7 blessings in a chuppah. They celebrate 7 days, it's called Sheva Brachas. 7 days of celebration after the chuppah, after the wedding. Everything is 7. Why is everything 7 by a wedding? What do you think? Because God created the world in 7 days. Every couple is Adam and Eve all over again. Then they are creating their own new universe. And therefore it's 7. Everything is 7. But when you look in Judaism, there is so many 7s. What else is the number 7 in Judaism? Shiva. 7 days of sitting in morning, Shiva. The menorah has 7 branches in the temple.
7 heavens.
There is 7 heavens. What else is 7?
7 years, 7 times 7 years.
7 years of what? The Shemitah, the sabbatical.
7 weeks.
7 weeks of what?
The Omer.
The Omer, we count 7 weeks. From Pesach till Shavuos, it's 7 weeks. 7 times 7. Anything else?
7 days of the week. Obviously.
So obviously 7 days of creation, 7 days of the week. Anything else in 7?
70.
That's true. What else is 7?
There's 7 years of plenty and 7 lean years.
That's in the Bible. 7 years for the story in Egypt. Yeah, Pharaoh. 7 years of plenty. 7 years of famine. Yeah.
7 times 70 years in Daniel.
What in Judaism there are in 7 numbers?
7 numbers.
Number 7 in Jewish things. No.
Days of Sukkot or Passover.
The holidays.
Yeah.
Pesach is 7 days,
Yeah.
biblically. Sukkot is 7 days, yes.
What else?
Anything else?
There were 70 elders. That's
There are
7.
70 elders. It's unbelievable. Everything is 7.
70 souls.
There is 7 Noach laws, 7 mitzvahs for the non-Jews. There is 7 rabbinic mitzvahs. You know that? There is the mitzvah of lighting candles is a rabbinic mitzvah. The mitzvah of washing the hand for the bread is a rabbinic mitzvah. The mitzvah to say blessings before the meal is a rabbinic mitzvah. There is 7 mitzvahs, the rabbinic mitzvahs. 613 mitzvahs and 7 rabbinic mitzvahs together makes it 620. That's the number of letters in the 10 Commandments is 620. Corresponding the 620 mitzvahs between the 613 from the Bible and 7 rabbinic mitzvahs. There are 7 holidays in the Jewish calendar. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Hanukkah, Purim, Pesach, and Shavuos.
7 Mishpatim, the 7 shepherds.
What?
The 7 shepherds.
The 7
Upazim. What's it called?
Ushpizim, the 7 Ushpizim. On Shabbat, when we call up to the Torah, we call up 7 people. 7 aliyahs. Every parsha is divided into 7 aliyahs, 7 days. What is the nature in the world in 7? Forget about the Jewish thing, the world. What's in the world is 7?
We know there were 7 visible things in
Yes,
the
yes.
skies.
In skies, on earth, in the universe. 7 things in the universe. What is 7?
It was the sun and the moon and the 5 planets. We just saw they got 7.
Yes, there are 7 planets.
Well, there were more,
There
but
is
those,
more.
those are the visible ones in the ancient world.
Oh, they're visible. Thank you for the education. Anything more? Guys, you learn these things, not me. There is 7 continents. If I think I'm- 7 seas, 7 oceans. Very nice. There is 7 wonders of the universe,
7 wonders of the world.
of the world. Right, right. I didn't learn that in yeshiva. Guys, you learned it. And above all, anybody who visits Las Vegas is the lucky 7, right? Shine. That's what made it.
There's 7, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and.
Very good.
Four.
Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, 3 fathers and 4 mothers, 7. Yes. Everything is in 7. And as he mentioned before, there are 7, the expression, I feel in the 7th heaven. Judaism believes in the concept of 7th heaven. Comes the Medrash and tells us something amazing. When God created the world, and he had Adam and Eve on earth, God came down from the 7th heaven all the way down to earth. What does this mean? God was almost tangible. It was the feeling of God, the awareness of God was like having another person in the room. Then Adam and Eve sinned. What they did when they sinned, they pushed God a little bit out. They pushed God to the 6th heaven, to the 1st heaven, away from earth. They pushed him out. That means God is not so visible. It's not so, the awareness of God, if somebody can sin, it means the awareness of God is not so strong. What was the next thing, the next generation?
Generation,
Noah,
The flood.
no.
Before.
Cain and Abel.
Cain killed Abel. They pushed God away, 2nd level. What was after Cain and Abel? Before Noah. How came Noah? How came the story of the flood that people were able to kill each other and rob and rape where is this coming? If you're looking for the source of the problems, where is the problem when people lose morality? Where is the problem?
Babel.
After.
Babel was after. But where is the problem? What can cause that people should lose their morality?
Idolatry.
Where came idolatry? The generation of Enosh was before they started to worship idols. How they came up with the idea of worshiping idols? The people said, yeah, we believe in God, but there is the sun and the moon who give us light. The sun gives us light. It'd be nice to say thank you to the sun too. When a waiter comes and gives you a car, serves you, even if you're at a wedding, and the guy who sponsored the wedding is not the waiter, but you still say thank you to the waiter because he was nice to you. He served you. We'll say thank you to the sun too. Thank you to the moon. The children who didn't know about what they think that there is a God, they only saw the sun and the moon. That's how it started by idol worshipping. There is the God, the sun is one God, the moon is another God, the tree is a third God. I'm a 4th God, you're a 5th God. We do whatever we want. The moment, what means idol worshipping? I decide what's God.
Yeah.
The moment I decide what's God, the next step is losing morality, doing whatever I want. A society who does not have a commitment to a higher authority, to a higher truth, that unshakable truth that cannot be changed, will eventually go down to the worst of the worst. We'll not go into long details, that's for another time. That was number 3. They pushed God a level further. The generation of idol worshipping. Then came the flood. Not only they didn't believe in God, not only they were against God, so to speak, worshipping idols, not only they disobeyed the laws between men and God, but also between men and men. They were not honest, they were stealing, they were killing, all these bad things. That was number 4. Push God to the 4th level. Then it was after the flood was
Tower of Babel.
the Tower of Babel. What was the problem in Tower of Babel? They are God. They will, let's build that tower and we will be God. It's one thing to find another God. It's another thing not to believe in God at all. It's even worse. I'm God. That's great. That's very convenient. That's what Pharaoh said. I'm God. Then was something then worse than that. They pushed God to the 5th level. Then was something worse than that. Sodom and Gomorrah. What was the problem with Sodom and Gomorrah? In the flood was also no morality. People were mean and bad. And in Sodom, it was the law. In time of the flood, if Noah wanted to be a nice guy, nobody stopped him. We don't want to be nice. In Sodom, he couldn't be a nice guy. If Lot wanted to have guests in his house, he told him, give the guest out. The law in Sodom was, if you are caught giving charity, you deserve that. When they caught Lot's daughter giving a piece of bread to a poor man, they killed her. That's a whole new level of corruption. They could push God even further. The 7th thing was when Abraham went to Egypt. Before that, he tells Sarah, say the custom that you are my sister. It means it was such a norm that taking people, husband from women from the husband, was the normal thing. No, Paul just that he knew, he expected it. You understand what I'm saying? My man is right. It was a world that was almost the name of God forgotten. It was about to be over. And then God sent a person that's called Abraham. And Abraham on his own discovered God. And when he really started his campaign about God, the real campaign, after he came back from Egypt, he started to tell people about God. That basically, until then, they pushed God back all the way to the 7th heaven. God was unheard of on earth. Yeah, maybe there were a few Hasidim in a cave who believed in God. The main thing was no God. Then Abraham started to bring God back from 7th heaven to the 6th heaven. And who was after Abraham? Isaac. Isaac brought him down to the 5th heaven, a little closer to us. Okay. And Jacob brought him to the 4th heaven. Jacob went already to Laban, to Haran, and he spread belief of God there. Then he went to Egypt. And who was after Jacob? In this number, in this dynasty, we are counting Levi, the 3rd son, who was later the Levites became the spiritual leaders of the Jewish people, because Levi in Egypt was the head of the yeshiva. He was the one who spread spirituality among the Jews in Egypt. And Levi is a son that none of you probably heard about him, even it's written in the Bible. His name is Kehat. And Kehat continued the tradition. He was number 5. And Kehat had a son with the name Amram. Amram was the leader of the Jewish people in Egypt. He was the leader of when the Jews were in Egypt for 8 years of suffering. Who was there to support them? Who was there to do everything? Amram. And the 7th was Moses. That everyone brought down God a little lower, to the 6th heaven, to the 5th heaven, to the 4th heaven, to the 3rd heaven, to the 1st heaven. But the hardest job is to make the gap from heaven to earth, from spirituality to the physical world, to the material world. When Moses brought God down to Mount Sinai, he brought God down to the physical earth, physical world. What does this mean? God gave us the power, the Jews, the power to sanctify things. A parchment, a piece of parchment. The moment a scribe writes the name, the Shema on the parchment for a mezuzah, you cannot throw it in the garbage, right? You have to bury it if you don't want to use it. It becomes a holy object. If it falls on the floor, you kiss it. I don't think in any other religion they kiss books. The Torah, you stand up in front of it. What's the Torah? The Torah was written by a human being. The Jew has the power. God empowered us to sanctify material things, physical things. The matzahs have to be baked by a Jew because it has to be for the sake of the mitzvah. This power that we can sanctify and elevate the world, we got at Mount Sinai. The connection between spirituality, what means sanctification? Holiness, it's a spiritual concept. We take a physical thing and we make it spiritual. This thing happened to Moses. And God was back at Mount Sinai. God was physical. They saw God, they heard God, they saw the fires. It was real. It was beautiful. It was amazing. You know for how long? For 40 days. And then came the golden calf. And the Jews worshipped idols. And they pushed God back all the way to the seventh heaven. The whole work from Abraham, all the 7 tzaddikim. It was 7 generations who pushed God away. 7 generations who brought God back to earth. And the Jews with one golden calf accomplished in 1 minute. You know what happened when Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden? They were supposed to live forever, right? That was the original plan. They sinned. That God said, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, you'll die. They brought death to the world. After Mount Sinai, the plan was the Jews should live forever. There is a verse in the book of Psalms that says, God says, I said that you are like angels, means you are going to live forever. Because of the golden calf, you'll die like people. That in 40 days they lost everything. Since then, we are on a journey to bring God down to earth. Now it's written in Kabbalah and in Medrash and in many places that before Moshiach will come, will be 7 generations who bring down the Shechina back down to earth. The Shechina means the divine presence. Shechina comes from the word Shachen. Shochen means dwells among us. The Shechina dwells among us. The side of God that dwells within people. It will take 7 generations to make it more real and more physical and more, what is in simple language, will make the world more awareness, a stronger awareness about God. And that started by the Alter Rebbe, the first Chabad Rebbe, start to make it more public and make God more public, and the second Rebbe and the third Rebbe. And the Rebbe, the last Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson, he became Rebbe. Friday will be his anniversary that he became Rebbe, a year after his father-in-law passed away. And he gave a discourse, a Hasidic, a Kabbalistic discourse. It's called a Maimer. And in this Maimer, he quoted this Medrash. And he said that we are the 7th generation. That we're supposed to, what needs to be the 7th generation? We have the obligation to close the deal. To bring down God to the world. What means to bring down God to the world? It's not enough that God is in the synagogue. You know, Chabad makes the menorah lighting, the public menorahs. You know, the mitzvah mobiles you see in New York and other places. You know what it is? It's taking out Judaism from the private domain to the public domain. Yeah, Jews now, many Jews, especially in the beginning, felt very uncomfortable. The menorah, the big menorah in downtown when my father-in-law came to Cleveland in 1972 or something, he put a big menorah. The world came to an end. Literally, the world came to an end. And they want him to take it away. That was its public domain. And this. And the Rebbe told them, after you already put it up, you don't go back. Next year you do whatever. But this year, you put the menorah. Now the mayor of Cleveland shows up every year by the menorah lighting. It's a public property. It's a different world. The Jews were not comfortable that they make Judaism public. That's the truth. Putting on film, yeah, sure, but in public, on the street, in front of everybody, on the airport, no! Bringing down God to earth means to make it public, to make it everywhere. In every place in the world, on the moon to have, in every 7 wonders, and the pyramids you should put on film, everywhere. Bringing the awareness of God to every place. And the Medrash finishes, Kol Hashvin Chavivin. All this, the 7th is the most precious one. How we know? Moses was the most precious from all the 7, right? King David was the 7th child of Jesse, of Israel. Our generation is the most precious generation. That we are like the real special child from the last 7 generations. Our job continues every day. What does this mean? It's not enough. We don't tell anybody to run to the yeshiva to learn Torah. Whatever you do, whatever profession you have, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a professional, you're a businessman, whatever you do, you have bring God to your workplace. Even just by the most basic thing of saying, Baruch Hashem. How are you? Thank God. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow. God willing. Just mention the name of God. The guy thinks something. He takes up the phone. He says, this guy is mentioning God 3 times in the conversation. What's wrong with him? Is he depressed? Is he not healthy? What's wrong? And then he thinks, if this guy who is so successful mentions God, maybe it's not such a bad idea. Maybe I should look into it. And that's how you bring God to every place in the world.